take out. Okay. So tell me what your childhood was like.
My childhood was a good childhood. I grew up in a kind of, it was a valley in the middle of the city, and in Toronto, and kind of grew up by a river and a park. It felt like I was in the country, which was quite odd being in the city and having this kind of subculture in the valley, and it was great. Like I loved it because I had my a big family around me. My aunt and uncle and my cousins were up the hill. My other aunt and uncle and my other cousins were up the hill. So we were all close, and it was a fun childhood. We always got together. There were a lot of family gatherings, and um, it was good. And there was music around the house a lot. My dad, he was involved in radio and television in the Maltese community. Did a lot for the Maltese community, and so there was always music and entertainment around us. And I think that's when I got the bug and wanted to play piano. So as a 4-year old, I tried to, lift things by ear. My sister got the piano lessons. She the youngest sister. I kind of was a mistake. My brothers and sisters a lot older than me, and I came much later. So the last of my sisters, the youngest, she was taking piano, and she didn't like it very much. And she told my parents one day, "I don't want to play piano anymore." And it was my opportunity to kind of clench that spot. And my dad asked me if I wanted to take piano lessons, and the rest is history. So I played piano and I sang at home. And then he got me involved in singing at church. And that was really how I kind of got used to singing in front of people, because I was the shyest kid, and he kind of gave me the push to sing in church. I didn't want to do it at first, but I loved it, and that was a way for me to express myself. And when he passed away, I was like just turned 16. I was in high school. I got more involved in music because it was therapeutic for me. It helped me get through a lot. I was very close to my dad. Spent a lot of years visiting him in hospital because he had a heart condition.
Mm.
I thought I was going to be a doctor, actually, because he said, be a doctor, do music on the side. That's good, like as a hobby. He probably was right. But I I took it full time, and it's been quite a journey since. But childhood was great. Like I had a good childhood, and I have a lot of fond memories with my mom and my dad and my siblings, my cousins. It was good.
What do you think's your fondest memory that you have?
Ooh, my fondest memory. That's a tough one. I think those moments where you're together with the entire family, because I have a big family. I have like 45 first cousins just on my mom's side.
Wow.
So when we'd come together for Christmas, it was like full house. It was just amazing. A lot of food, a lot of laughter, a lot of playing, and those always were great moments. And very fond memories. Um, I cherish them, and still to this day we get together, once or twice a year, like with all the cousins. And now I only have part of my family here and part of my family in Malta, but
Mm.
there are quite a few now. A lot of my cousins are older and have kids of their own who are now getting up there and having kids of their own. And yeah,
Just keeps getting bigger.
yeah, it just keeps on getting bigger. Exactly.
Is there something your mom or dad said to you or advice they gave you that you still think of now, or something that really stands out to you that you remember?
Um, ooh, I think they were very simple in their lessons, and kind of led by example. They were very involved in the community.
Mm,
um, and if anything, um, it's just learning that family comes first, and um, you know having that love around you is very, very special throughout life. And to always carry yourself with humility, and with respect. And I think, if you carry yourself in that way, like people, um, will see you for who you are, and not without walls in front of you. Like, I think, it, when you try anyway, it's not always easy to just kind of keep it very simple and sincere. Then it seems to read better, like, in anything you do, in any walk of life, any work that you do. If there's heart and sincerity behind it, I think people gravitate to it, and connect with that.
how did you see it in your parents?
Just by example. Like, it wasn't necessarily what they said, but how they carried themselves, and just seeing how many people respected my parents, and how they respected each other. It to this day kind of is my handbook for being a father and a husband, and a friend. I think those things are ingrained in you. And I think communication is very important as well. Like, always, um, to keep that line of communication open with the people around you.
Mm,
Uh, that's another important thing that I've kind of kept with me. And uh, yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Don't complicate it too much.
yeah. So then, if you were to write an autobiography about your life, what do you think the title would be? What would you call it?
Oh, gee, I don't know. These are tough. An autobiography of my life. Like, I don't know. I really, I would hope that it would be, more a reflection of what people, what I left with people, that kind of helps define who I was, or what I'm leaving here, you know? I think, uh, how you influence, how you inspire other people, how you've helped them through things, whether it be through your art, or just as a friend. Uh, those are the things to me that defines a person at the end of the day. And um, yeah, I don't know what I'd call it. You know, um, maybe for Victor Micallef, for you to define. I don't know.
You mean the
It's
subtitle would be for you to define?
for you to define. Yeah, I mean, I think you have different relationships with different people, and sometimes, um, and I'm not saying they're always great, like
Yeah.
sometimes you have moments in your life where you're challenged, and or certain personalities challenge you in a certain way, and at the end of the day you're in bed and you can't sleep because it kind of went against the grain of your nature. uh sometimes they say, well, you got to be tough to you know survive in a lot of climates, and there's some truth to that. You have to build a thicker skin, to some things that are around you. uh but really, I think those are the moments where you're kind of like, oh, I wish I could have handled this better,
Yeah.
because really you don't want to get swallowed up by that. You just want to stay true to who you are. And sometimes when you put on or try to protect yourself in a certain way, and show certain aspects of your personality that maybe are less to be desired, like at the end of the day, you kind of say, well, I think that wasn't fully me. It was like sort of like a mask I put on to protect myself. But
Do
uh
you think you do that often, or is it something you used to do more when you were young?
no, no, I don't think so. But there's certain moments in your journey that you're like pushed to to a place of discomfort, and
Mhm.
sometimes those sides do show up, and you just got to remind yourself to stay true, to just breathe, to meditate, to get back to ground zero, and what's in there.
So what does life mean to you? Like, what is the meaning of life to you?
uh I think at the end of the day, it's this is gonna sound cliche, but it's I'm a big, lover, not a fighter type guy, like, I think to be loved is amazing, to love is amazing, and to have those relationships around you where um, you have left a piece of um, happiness or love with someone. um, those are important, and I think a lot of people kind of measure themselves by their bank accounts, and their status, of course, and it's just how our society is. But for me, it's more what has the journey been like, ups and downs. Sometimes it's those pits, that you learn the most, and that have the most profound impact on who you are as a person. Um, I know I've been through a lot in the last couple of years, and um, having that experience makes life a little more. Um, I'm going to say complicated. It is complicated, but richer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when you have uh maybe and it does come in waves. Like, I feel like there sometimes when people say, geez, so many good things are happening to me right now that I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Ever hear that?
Yeah.
you know or like, why am I experiencing all these bad things all at once? And like, when am I gonna get out of this funk? And yeah, sometimes it's a certain energy that happens, and you go through a lot of stuff at one time, and then other times it's like nothing's really happening?
Yeah.
And that's just how life is. And you got to learn from each and every moment. And I do believe that, the light is amazing, an amazing place to be. And having that light and holding that in you to keep close to you when things are not so great is important to remember. But those dark moments help you appreciate the light, and you have to go through some growing pains and learning of who you are as a
Yeah.
person and how you deal with those moments, because you might get through one little thing or two, but what happens when it floods you and you feel underwater for a long period of time?
Yeah.
What happens to your character then? Do you crumble? I've been close. I'm lucky I have the people around me to keep me um, grounded
Yeah.
and supported, you know. Um, but it's those moments where you really see yourself, um, uh, and just kind of, okay, what are my strengths, and do I
Yeah.
have any strength at this moment? Because generally throughout my life I felt very confident, very
Yeah.
strong. But when you're going through a moment or many moments, it does push you on the edge a bit, and it helps you kind of realize what so many people around the world go through. Like when you hear about mental health or people going through things, and if you haven't been through it, you just kind of go, yeah, they have issues, and oh, I feel for them, but what does it really mean? you know
Yeah.
so um I think all in all, like, you have to look at the whole journey, and this is only being a part of the journey. So if you are going through something, even if it's for a long period of time, you know it's just part of the path. And there's ways to lean into people for the times you've been there for people. And I think that's, again, what we were saying about, like, how you want to be remembered as a person, to
Hmm.
be for someone, to show love, happiness, and joy, because there's going to be a moment where you're going to need that from someone as well.
Yeah.
Not to say you're doing it for that, but it is nice when you are needing a hand and someone's there for you,
Yeah.
you know?
What is hard about life for you? Like, what do you find the hardest thing?
Uh, the hardest thing uh, is answering your questions. These are tough. No,
Sorry.
no. I guess one of the hard things is to, when you're going through something that's, again, not a one incident thing, but like a long period thing, to stay there to continue the fight. Because when you're susceptible to that dark moment,
Hmm.
then everything kind of, the body and the mind is incredible. And
Yeah.
if your body's not functioning at full capacity for some reason, for instance, I had an emergency back surgery
Yeah.
that led to other complications, which I'm still living with, right? But then there's, the voice, and how does that respond to everything that I went through,
Yeah.
right? So there's that. Then the mind gets into it, and once the mind gets into it, which controls everything, it could be a very slippery slope. So, like, you have to do the work to keep your mind and body as happy as it they could be and as healthy. So like exercise and meditation, and like for me it's prayer as well, like it's everything.
Yeah.
And it's all, I guess one of the hard things is always to stay there, and be present for everyone around you when
Yeah.
you're going into this bubble, because that's a tough part when, although you have all these people who love you around you, you feel very lonely,
Yeah.
because you're creating a bubble, not intentionally, it just happens,
Yeah.
so to just stay there and be present, it's hard because sometimes you just don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the most challenging things, I think.
What do you what is then the most beautiful thing for you? Is it your family and the people around you that you find the most beautiful about living and being alive?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel so grateful and fortunate to have what I have. My
Yeah.
family is bloody amazing. Like I'm so, so lucky. You know, I have an amazing family. I have amazing friends. The Tenors, they've always been great, and you know, um, Jeffrey, my manager, and the team. Like we have such a great um, ecosystem. You know,
Yeah.
uh, we're family. We really are, and you know, I am lucky to have that. I know some people might not have that, and
Yeah.
I'm yeah, I feel blessed, really blessed at that, and that I'm still here getting to do what I do, and um, yeah, just being uh, able to even look back and see what we've already done and
Yeah.
accomplished. It's pretty, you have to pinch yourself, like it's been an incredible ride, and there's so many exciting things ahead, so you're kind of going, wow. uh, a lot of people work hard for it, and there's a lot of talent around, and you feel very um, you know thankful that you have stuck it out. Although I joke sometimes, like, oh, I should have been a doctor. Like this world of being a singer and writer and producer, it's pretty awesome. And especially for me, when you get it out in front of people and you see how that impacts their life, and they come and say, your music, it really helped me through this. Or your music, like when we got married, we played this song and it was like blah blah blah. And you realize that, what you've given, it's become, the soundtrack to people's lives, and that's something like to kind of hang your hat on.
Yeah. Is there a piece of music you think describes your personality, like who you are?
um Not really, not a piece of music. I would say how it's performed. you know I always felt like I was a singer that kind of expresses from the inside out. So,
Hmm.
whether my voice was strong one night or wasn't, if the performances to me that um, were special are the ones that I totally got out of body and just kind of felt that I was just a channel,
Mm.
if that makes sense. You're
Yeah.
just channeling something that's hard to explain, and you get away from technique. Obviously, we need technique to help us through and get us through the tour and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And we stay healthy, and obviously your body dictates that too, like how well you're going to sing if your body's doing a certain way. However, what trumps all of that is if you're able to channel and be, uh, you know, an instrument of 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 inspiration to people.
So saying that it's like when you feel the music, so you're not even really thinking about it kind of thing, or
Yeah, I mean, I think I always feel it. It's just that sometimes, you know, there are moments where like you may be thinking a little more than other times,
yeah,
and there are moments where you're just letting the heart, I had one teacher many years ago, that explained it like this: being a singer is like having a zip on on your body, and you're unzipping your body and showing everybody what's inside,
yeah.
you know um
Sometimes a lot of people don't.
yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, and like for me, even when I go see different performers,
Mm,
it's always those singers who are built that way, um that just moved me. You could be a technical genius and have fireworks and arrange like crazy, but there's something about those singers when I go watch certain, not just singers, but instrumentalists or
yeah,
artists, watching them, like, um, the ones who are just connecting on that level, you know, are are just amazing to be a witness of, because it becomes almost a spiritual experience.
yeah. Is there someone you look up to that you see who does that and you like to emulate that more?
Who I think there are a lot of great musicians out there, and I mean, deceased and who are out there doing it right now. Whew, that's a tough one. Not tough, but there's a lot. Um, from the past, that I studied opera, and there was a famous opera singer. Her name was Maria Callas, and
Yeah,
she was one of those people. Leontine Price, another one, another opera singer. These are singers that just let it pour from the inside out, and if there was something that they were singing that it was almost like, I don't know, it there's a magic, that a spark that happens, there obviously there are wonderful musicians now,
yeah,
that do that, that kind of move you in that way, or um yeah, and people not necessarily who just perform, but who
yeah.
write, and create the music.
Oh
um
yeah.
like not all of them are on stage, but some people just have a very special way of emoting on paper, or you know, on recordings. So it's yeah. I mean, what do you listen to? What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, a whole bunch. Opera, and I love Celtic music. I love Armenian duduk. It's really beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Wow.
simple, but
That to me is very spiritual as well.
yeah,
There's something guttural and
yeah,
so raw about it. And I can relate because Maltese folklore music is in that direction, where it's almost like there's pain in it, there's joy in it, like you could hear
yeah.
it, like, yeah, that's interesting. Are you Armenian?
No, no, but I did a lengthy study of the Armenian genocide in high school. And
Yeah.
so we would listen a lot to Armenian music, people being interviewed, and I loved their culture. I mean, I still do love to visit there if I can, but it's, yeah, the music is just so soulful and it was very, you could know that they were sad. You could know when they were happy, but it was like very, yeah, I mean, I guess it was just very real, I suppose. I mean, it's, it's like what we all, it felt to me like if the soul had its own music, it
Yeah.
would sound something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And something else about that music, it's, you know, there's a cry to the voice, and there's nothing between the voice and you.
yeah,
Where if there's one thing that I could maybe be a little critical on with music now is maybe we're getting to a point where things are a little overproduced,
yeah,
and because when you put those veils on, like it's tough to kind of do this. Oh, there it is. You
yeah,
know, sometimes all you need is a simple instrument and a voice to get you,
yeah,
you know? Uh, and obviously there's a lot of resistance to just being simple. It's like, okay, well, it won't keep people's attention. Like everything's about attention spans nowadays. Like shorter is better. And hey, I love a lot of like, produced stuff. Like, don't get me wrong.
oh yeah,
You know, entertaining, it moves. Like sometimes you need to hear that. But I think there's also a place for that real quality of what singing was meant to be.
yeah,
And it, that's why people connect to singing. It's because it's a human thing. It's the voice. And it could be related to a cry or a laugh. Like it's so unlike any other instrument. And I play a couple, so like I love the piano, but there's something about the voice, okay, that is very visceral. It's very easy to connect to
yeah,
because people could hear emotions just by even my speaking voice, you
yeah.
know?
I was gonna ask you, do you like Icelandic, Swedish music?
I
Like,
love it. I love
isn't
it.
it great? Yeah,
The guttural throat attacks. Like I know as an opera singer, I wouldn't do that personally, but like listening to it and like I'd imagine some of it's like so technical and hard to do. You'd have to practice a lot. But when you listen to the different um, traditional uh,
yeah,
singing from different parts of the world, whether it be there or like, Portugal, Fado, or like, Malta, they have like Anna, it's called, and which is very similar to like the Italians, they have something. And if you go north, you have the yodel, you have like,
yeah,
you know, certain things from different parts of the world. When we did our charity work in Africa and
yeah.
hearing the
That's really cool. Yeah, I liked it.
hearing the kids like literally sing at full voice, just kind of letting it go and not even thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like it's so powerful because it's just like, huh, and you're taken back by it. You're like, it's hitting me. Like it's really hitting me. Like, and I don't mean just volume. I mean like emotionally. Uh,
yeah,
and every part of the world has something like that. Um, and I love it. I love like listening to, like, I'll go through the radio stations and sometimes I'll stop at, like, oh, there's like um an Indian station,
Oh
and
yes, and my Indian music is so
oh my gosh,
fun.
and they have way more notes than we have,
Yeah,
and doing these melismas that are just unbelievable. Like, as a musician, you're trying to analyze it and you're like, this is unreal. And the beats and the tablas and the, like, it's so intricate. So like, I think like you can learn from every part of the world in what they've mastered. There's certain things,
yeah,
certain instruments, like Asian instruments, that have a lot of slides in it and mimic almost birds, and it's beautiful. I hope we don't lose that. I hope we don't lose that. I hope we don't dumbify things too much where people kind of lose that part of our history, because there was a natural progression from hitting a simple drum to where we're at now, you know and you know technology is amazing. It's such a wonderful tool, but it could be dangerous too if we're not careful. So um, just like when I go back to Florence, my wife and I lived in Florence for 6 years, and there's so many things that are made by artisans. But as you go, every year you go, there's just less and less of it, you know?
yeah,
So you're worried that, like, are these traditions, like, that are so unbelievable, like the art, like, and the complexities of everything, are we going to lose that? Are we going to demand a nap every time we need to create something, or just plug it in? um I I hope not. I hope not. Like, I think there's room for both, as long as we remember both. There's a history to remember, and when you cut off your history, I think you're risking a lot moving forward, because if you don't know, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but not just for art, but
yeah,
as a humanity, and knowing even how to appreciate the earth properly, you know like our forefathers, like how they treated the earth and respected the earth. And if we cut off that tail, we may get a little lost moving forward.
yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, yeah, no, it does. I mean, there's a lot of things from the past that are good and things that weren't good that are good to learn.
100%.
Yeah,
Can't repeat the devastations that and I know people know history, but, like, you really have to stay there and understand why things happened.
yeah,
And if we go back, it could be devastating, especially with what we have now, you know so all of it's important. And with music, I think um it will just make the future more rich, knowing and bringing all that stuff with you
yeah,
as you learn more, not just kind of like, oh, we have this now, like that stuff's not important anymore you
yeah.
know
All right, well, I have one more question.
okay.
Um, this is more of a fun one, so hopefully you don't have to think about it too hard. I was gonna ask you, what kind of animal would you be if you could be an animal?
Oh, you're cutting out.
Oh, I
Could
said
you ask that again? You just chopped.
if you could be an animal, what would you be?
That's so easy. I'm an eagle or
Why?
a hawk. There's something about that animal that I have a strong, I don't know, weird connection to. And the guys laugh at me because I could be like miles away and I'll be like, hawk to your left, eagle to like they I don't know what it is, but there's something that is just calls to me. And I think they're so free, they're majestic. Um, they get to fly and look over us. Um, they, yeah, they respect family as well, so I could connect with that. They have their unit, and I don't know what it is, but there's something about that bird or those birds that really appeal to me. So if I was an animal, yeah, I think that would be very cool. Flying the mountaintops and the treetops and you know, feeling that freedom, the air blowing. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful animal.
Yeah, though being a bird is hard. You'd have to
Yeah,
eat your prey.
that's true, but we eat our prey as well.
Yeah,
You
that's
have to survive unless you're a vegetarian, which is, a different kind of bird.
yeah. No, that's true. You're right.
But I am a meat eater, so you know, I'm okay with that, I guess.
I
I,
know it's
I'd
hard
have
to give
to,
that up.
I'd have to get used to eating rodents. That would be kind of weird, but
Well, you probably wouldn't think so if you'd always been a bird.
what was that?
I said
Sorry.
you wouldn't, it probably wouldn't be if you'd always been a bird. It's all you've ever had.
Well,
So
that's it. That's it. So,
let me,
and I remember like when the tenors first started. Uh, this was like 17 years ago, and we were in West Vancouver, North Van. Sorry, we were in North Van by the water. We were at uh, a house there, and in Dave King's house. That was where we met. I met Fraser and the other two that are no longer in the group. Well, Fraser left last year as well, so I'm like the only original member left. But back then, I was still new to Vancouver. It was a new spot for me, and I loved it. Like the mountains and the ocean, it was just such beauty, especially on a sunny day.
yeah,
And I was looking out the window, and I saw this bald eagle, and it was on the top of a tree, and it just went right into the water to go fishing. And I looked at it, and it looked like it was just having a blast and just so majestic. What a majestic bird. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty something, you know?
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think a bird would be great, you know, that would be that kind of bird, especially.
yeah. No, that's really good. I'm gonna just stop this